I'm not sure yet. Hold on a second. Let me just make everything looks good. Does that guy look all right back there?
Terrible.
Oh, there's a guy there. That's scary.
You didn't see him until now?
Yes, true.
Let's see if we
Great.
get the speaker to work here.
Congratulations.
I'm excited. Make sure we're on gallery view. All right, we're ready. And welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. Doesn't matter what kind of Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of amateur endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll laugh a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm mental.
And
Ooh, he's still here.
I know, he is still here. And we are Everyone Racers. Thank you for coming back and listening to a baseball normal regular season episode. It is 162. If you're not driving a car, get your bingo card out because it might be a good one this time. Great.
Just
What
maybe.
you working on? Jeff.
Oh, me? While I sip my drink here.
Sorry, I
let's-
forgot to change the colors. That was my
No,
No, that's okay. I also
yeah.
waited for something snarky and nothing
We're-
happened. So I was like, okay, let's just keep moving on here.
We are
Pig.
all out of snark this evening. Maybe not. We'll
Just
see.
wait.
Just
Yeah.
wait. It's reloading. So it was a rainy weekend, and I had to do a little fishing with the Boy Scouts. So the wife's broken car continued to stay broken. Yeah, that's not causing any problems.
That's not good. Yeah.
At all.
Solid.
You must have the most comfortable couch ever.
It's the
I was
chair.
thinking more like
It's
the
a big-
garage.
It's a big kind of recliner easy chair thing. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Usually
well-
sleeps in that anyway.
The problem
I'm saying.
is that I also have the house all torn up because I'm doing the floors. So I stay up until like midnight every night messing with the floors. But I have gotten a lot of the floors done. So that's, I guess, a bonus. I am also 3/4 of the way through building a candy chute for my father to deliver the snacks to the kids who are coming to the house but stay 6 feet apart so nobody gets the Rona. And
I'm just going to chuck it at the kids.
that's why I got my friend here, because he's going to live on the PVC
Slingshot.
pipe.
Yeah. I think that's more fun.
Yeah.
Jolly
So-
Ranchers.
Jolly in a Zima. Jolly Rancher in the Zima for the parents. Jolly Ranchers for the kids. No, that's it.
I feel like the candy corn in the slingshot's better because when it hits, it spreads, so you get like the whole kind of wad cutter effect on the skin. Get through that Halloween costume.
I like that plan. That's it. That's all I'm working on. Chris, what are you working on?
All kinds of stuff. Actually, just before the show, I was mostly finished wrapping up the wiring for the LS and the Z. I have stripped the harness of
Ooh.
everything unnecessary. I have backfilled all the unnecessary the plugs on the ECU things with silicone so the water doesn't get in there. And I had just soldered on some
LS
big
all
ass
the things.
wires onto all the power plugs. Because there's 8 injector wires that all have to come together, and 2 coils, and 4 different other sensors, and 2 to the ECU, and they're all pink because they're all switched 12 volt. So you kind of gradually work them down into a couple wires instead of all that many.
Like a big wad. You just kind of like
Kinda.
twist.
Fuel injectors per fuse. That's how I did mine.
Oh, that's good. I'm not even that cool. I just made a big ass
Big-
wire that put all 8 of them on. So,
I like it.
but I put the coils on a separate one and the sensors on a different one. So depending on what's wrong, that can tell us that. But we're also not just wiring from scratch. We're trying to integrate it into the Z stock architecture a bit because we are keeping a fair amount of what's in the Z, like heater and wipers and lights and
Oh, you're getting
ABS and all that
fancy.
crap. Yeah, well, it rains a lot
It's
out here.
lessons learned. Everyone in their first race car build goes, wipers, that's 0.5 of a pound. And then they're in the rain going, I really should have kept the wipers.
It's the heater and defroster.
The
more or
heater
less.
defroster is going to be clutch. That's what I'm excited for.
That is clutch.
Absolutely.
So are you like trying to make the tack on the Z's cluster work with the ECU of the LS?
Now, what is
Yeah.
6 divided into 8? I'm not sure.
Well, we're getting the ECU remapped, so I think he can just put a 6-cylinder out on it.
If you
'Cause
have
that- 'cause-
if you have HP tuners, you just drop it down and choose the signal
Yeah.
it puts out. Yeah.
So there we go. So we can make the stock Z-Tac work. The stock Z Speedo is going to work. It's off the stock transmission. Stock fuel gauge is going to work. So most of that's going to work.
We hope.
So in theory, I don't know.
It'll be successful.
Yeah. Anyway, so mostly done with the rough work on the wiring. Now it really has to go onto the motor, into the car to finish up the connections and see how it's going to be in the car. So also put a new seat cover and cushion on the driver's seat of the Suburban on the base, because over 186,000 miles, the cushion wasn't as good as it was, and the driver's seat had a big rip in it. So I guess because it was surprisingly easy to do.
Because GM's vehicles will run forever, but everything around it will just kind of slowly deteriorate.
And because this happens so often, the cushion from GM was $100, and the cover from an aftermarket source was about the same. Works great. It's actually really easy to put on. There's no hog rings or anything. It's like they designed this. Like you're gonna need to fix
you're gonna
this.
have to replace this. Yeah.
Yep. So they made it easy to come off, which is actually kind of nice. Did winter wheels and street brakes on the 250,000-mile Mazda, because it's not being a race car anytime soon. So we're gonna make it not suck to drive around here, because it's like our little like around town golf cart at this point, getting 6 miles at a time. So that's good.
And the brakes were so loud.
Yeah. We put the Civic in storage and cried a little, and I fixed a bent control arm and oil change on Chrissy's youngest sister's car. And it was breaking news. I just got a text from the mechanic that there's also a bent strut that I didn't see. So it's got to come back to get me to fix the strut before he can do an alignment. Keep going.
How do you bend a strut on a street car?
I was going to say a bit of insider baseball. Did the front end shift, or was it just those swing arms?
As far as we know, it's just the control arms or the control arm and the strut now. So
okay, all right.
Yep. So we're replacing basically most of that left front corner now. Apparently the wheel bearing and hub are okay. Now that corner that suspension is pretty original. The bodywork also original, but massaged. Anyway, that poor car, despite everything it's been through. It actually.
What kind of car is it?
It's an 07 Mazda 3.
Oh, that's the one that you put the original Mazda 3 motor in. No, it's not that one. It's not the silver one.
Different one. This is a black one. We got a fleet of them around here. So I'm really good at fixing them now. Yeah.
I get it.
Anyway, Menzel, what are you working on?
So I mentioned last week I'll be going go-karting, and I finished. Yeah, totally not third. My best finish was 7th. The whole, now that the Rona is over, their regulars are back, and I was immediately humbled. So there's some really good go-karters out there. It was a lot of fun though, and I broadcast a lot of that stuff, and if you collect enough points, they'll pay for you to go to Abu Dhabi or rather Dubai and race there, which it's all cool stuff. I'm totally not in the running for any of it. It's a great track.
And you've been to Dubai too, so you're like,
I've actually raced at that go track where they would go to. But I went to go swap the Toyota pickup and the Volvo, and now the Volvo doesn't start. I did no investigation of it. I had other things to do because I was bringing the trailer to get my latest dumb idea. There's a video and an announcement on Instagram coming on that one, and the tire has completely gone flat on one of the half janky Magic trailers. So I found their air hose. So I said, well, how bad can it be? It's only 12 miles. As it turns out, I completely shredded the tire just bringing it. So I got to take it up to the little all-night tire shop and pay them $18 for a takeoff that they're just going to throw right back on there, and it'll keep being the half-ass Magic janky trailer. And just today I got approval from the House Ways and Means Committee. I will be headed to California. And I'm completely free.
Yeah.
Frozen.
I think you should shut your video off.
Frozen mental
Probably.
again.
Yeah.
Because we really didn't hear like most of that. To a couple
That's all right.
seconds.
While you guys are catching up on news and notes, I'm going to reboot everything.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you had a bad time. I'll assume that was just didn't go well. How about
Well,
that?
it's the half magic trailer, so it really should be
We
called the
knew.
half janky trailer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we knew it was wrong when Mental said, "Well, how bad can it be driving on a tire with no air in it?" That's when you know it was going to go poorly. So.
And you didn't really care about it or something. All right.
Yep.
Mental says, Chrissy, what are you working on? I didn't do much. We've been relaxing a little bit, which is kind of nice. Watch F1. Had the family over for dinner, and we're figuring out which house projects to do next. So we're doing it. What?
So I turned on the F1, like I TiVoed it or whatever, DVR'd it, and I was watching it like 6 hours later. And 3 laps in, my wife goes, is this the Formula One race? And I go, yeah. She goes, well, something amazing has better happen. You better not turn it off. Well, it turns out she thought there was 3 laps left, not 3 laps to go, like just in the beginning, because, NASCAR counts down and, So she was like, well, because I know the results and the person winning isn't winning right now. So she thought there was going to be an amazing pass in the last 3. No, I watched for 2 hours or whatever just to watch Lewis Hamilton again crush everybody. So
it's true. I know.
Yep.
And we have hopes, but if anything, it's just watching racing in the middle of a Sunday. And it's on every week. So it's kind of like, oh, maybe somebody else will. Nope.
No.
Just Lewis.
Again, Lewis Hamilton. And every time Bottas did something, I was like, Chrissy's wrong. You're terrible. Oh, maybe it's Chrissy's right. You did pretty well.
No, he's really good, actually. He's just, when you're second to like God, like you're not, you're just kind of pretty good. All right. Anyway, let's move on. As you may have heard, we have a guest on here because there's a 5th voice on here.
That
Corey
guy.
Dickman. Yeah, not that guy. That guy's
Not
scary.
that guy.
Is it a
Corey,
Jawa?
Is it C3PO?
C3PO is what my son calls it.
okay.
Can you hear it?
One.
Sorry.
Corey is another West Coast veteran racer. He built 4 IOE winners, including the Rambler, a VW 411, which was so bad that he gave it away, a Cadillac Alante, and the most recently a 76 Oldsmobile Omega. He has also been another 4 IOE teams, the Morrow Race Fan, the Studebaker Avanti, the 41 Olds, and the Pontiac Aztec, complete with a tent. Corey, welcome. What you working on?
Well, I am in post-button willow repair of broken race car. We were in Class B contention, and we ran the transmission out of fluid and burned it up. So I pulled the motor on Saturday morning, and because I have to pull the motor to separate the transmission because it's got a unique setback, as in I pushed it back about 1 inch in the engine bay when I put it in. The LS swap, so you can't take the transmission away from it without pulling the whole motor. Yep. So that was Saturday, and then I had a transmission sitting on the back porch. Torque converter didn't fit. I had to find one on Craigslist, had to drive 100 miles round trip Saturday afternoon so that I could put it all back together Sunday. It is back together on the ground and shifting and moving under its own power at this point in time.
Excellent.
So
that's a win.
It is a win. And then the other thing we were going to do is we're going to move to 275 with tires from the 245s because we basically burn a set a day in the car.
Ooh.
I got this perfect rim, had the perfect back spacing, the brakes, everything. Beautiful. Went to go order more, discontinued by the manufacturer. So I have 1 rim that's perfect, and I'm going to have 3 mismatched rims going.
What is this rim, in case some of our listeners might have a couple laying around?
It's a Vision wheel. It looks like the old, what was a Mustang in Eleanor wheel. It looks kind of like that. And they discontinued the 18 by 9.5 inch wide rim, of which I have 1 that I will sell to somebody for the same cost I paid for it, so I can replace it with something else. So that's what I've been working on.
Who needs backspacing?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Now, which tires are you burning through a whole set a day? Like, I wonder if you go to a different compound that'll last a little longer.
Yeah, we're still running the Azenas because we like them, and they were $124 because they're getting rid of the Azenas because Vulcan has a new compound out. So I was all about going through those before I switched over, and I had a set of 4 spares laying around for the second day, so it's kind of the way to go. I'm gonna race with Lucky Dog a couple times next year, so I'm gonna buy a set of their RS4s and try those out.
We're a fan. They last forever. It's
We
amazing.
love the RS Force.
Yeah.
I just don't know with 3,900 pounds that anything's going to last forever.
Still, yeah, it's amazing how long they last.
And Matt's not a big fan of them because he says they don't communicate. I find they communicate great. They communicate more by feel though than by audio. And
Yeah.
you can't hear them going, but you can feel them going.
Who can
we're
hear
sold.
the tires? All I hear is the Honda.
Matt likes his squealing, whining tires. Yeah.
The Omega, you hear them whining. They talk very loud to you at all times.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this is a
Screaming,
heavy car.
dying,
This
yes.
car's so heavy.
So
That's
it was
great.
pretty successful, and then just the only thing left before Sonoma, which all the parts will be here pretty much tomorrow, other than rims, are the brakes and the brake pads, and it'll be ready for the trailer.
Well, we brought you here to talk about brakes, so we're going to talk a little more about that in a little bit. So, but
Excellent.
feel free to join us for our, my favorite section. I don't know if it's everybody's favorite section. News and notes. And it made the little guy go crazy.
The little guy, his name's Erling. He lives in Sweden. Stop.
No, that guy. All right,
No,
I'll mute.
okay. Oh, the scary guy. Okay, yeah.
So for those who are not watching on YouTube, over Jeff's shoulder there is a creepy Jawa-esque skeleton wearing a
Ghost,
hoodie.
I don't know.
Right, wearing a hoodie
With
that
light up googly eyes.
Yes, and when Jeff
Yes.
talks, it lights up and makes noise. So that's what
I
he's talking
love that you went Jawa-esque on that because I was totally going in that direction. Well done, sir.
Yeah.
Who's got a story?
I'll start us off.
Go ahead.
Lemons released their 2021 schedule, so now starts the complaining about the race that I wanted is not on the day I wanted at the place I wanted.
Robot
And
arms. Commence robot
and-
arms.
And I did not get the parking spot I wanted at. Yeah. Anyway, that happens every
Why
year.
aren't you going to blank track? I love blank track. Blank track
And-
is better than all the tracks on your schedule.
And
Yeah.
and remember, email Nick at 24hoursoflemons.com because he loves that stuff.
He
And
wants
make sure
to
to
talk
ask him about your
this.
garage as well when you
Exactly.
get your garage. He wants to
And
hear
you
about
will
this.
not get one sarcastic reply at all.
So, 20 events, a few details ironed out. No Ridge yet, no Chuckwalla, Indy, or Willow Springs. But hey, NCM is back. Oregon Raceway Park is new on the schedule. So all that is good. And we got the
no
usual
Carolina.
four Northeast race. No CMP because I think they had a little bit of a falling out with the track management, from what I understand, with the new management. So who knows? We'll find out. But things
I'm
always
so
change.
looking forward to Oregon Raceway Park.
Yeah.
I signed up as soon as I saw that. I'm like, and
I don't really miss CMP on there. Like it's like, eh.
CMP's an
I miss the
okay
parade.
track.
It's okay.
like the
Like
parade.
okay. The parade is very nice, but aside from that, I don't really find anything really particularly like I'm gonna miss about CMP all that much. I mean, it's almost the same drive for us to go to NCM, and NCM is way better in every possible way.
It was great.
I need
Yeah.
NCM on my bucket list. So
You do.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I got an invite. Unfortunately, it's the same weekend as Button Willow.
Oh.
You know, you've driven the butt a lot. It might be worth the trip.
yeah, he did.
My
Like-
cars do really good at Button Willow. Like the last
Sure.
3 years, up until this year, it's the first time in 3 or 4 years we haven't won something there as far as an
You
IOE
were top
or-
10. You were top 10 in a former IOE car.
Right. Like
That's
I
pretty
loves
good.
the butt.
that track does good. It does love the butt.
Yeah. Also, World Racing League announced their first true 24-hour race October at Sebring. So replace your shocks now. You'll need it.
And bring a spare set because you'll need those too.
Yeah, especially if your car is how heavy, Corey? 4,600? 3800?
3,900
3,900
pounds
pounds?
with a
It
half
doesn't
tank
matter.
of gas.
4,600 was the
Nice.
rolls, right?
It doesn't matter.
42?
And-
I think
yeah,
it's 42.
Something like that.
But
A
to
lot.
that note, if you are in the Florida area or you can make it to Sebring, there is a historical connection about charging into the final turn at Sebring in the dark when there are no references. It is something every racer should do. It is the same spiritual level as the corkscrew.
All right.
Okay.
Remember last week when I talked about the SCC Tatara and I went like this or this and I pointed at the video?
Yeah.
That
You
like
saw it
we-
here first, by the way.
Yes. So
World premiere.
supposedly they broke the production car record, and I do air quotes because good luck getting to production. It was 316.11 average both ways. Well, it seems a lot of people are looking at the video and they don't believe them. The video had some odd overlays. There was an edit in the middle, and on Wednesday, SCCA claimed that the onboard video allegedly depicting the 331-mile-per-hour run, because that was one direction, was, quote, substantially incorrect. And this is a few days after Daewoo-tron, the
Wow.
company who supplied the GPS equipment, and they said, SEC originally said, and Daewoo-tron, Dewey-tron, I don't know how to say it, they had certified the results. They were like, we have not validated anything. We have not seen this data. Please stop referring to us because we haven't seen it. Yeah. Lots of internet sleuthing, lots of overlays of the Bugatti who had the original 280. People are saying it's 280. People are saying whatever. I don't know. Link in the show notes. It's all in the drive. Breaking story, literally only posted about 5-6 hours before
I'm
this
fascinated that there are still people employed in the marketing industry that go, it's close enough. They'll never know the difference in anything over the last 5 years. Assume. They are
Especially
going-
since March, when people have lots of time sitting at home.
Lots of internet
Well,
that
they
they have
have
to
it-
just.
And they have an onboard
Spam.
video of the car that you're braking on the same stretch of highway in
Yeah.
Utah.
Yeah.
So they can
It's
see
like
the landmarks.
Well, it's like the people who have, that c'était and rendezvous. Like, obviously, it's not a Ferrari; it's a little
Yes.
too slow. But the people who sit there and time all, like, well, from here to here is this fast, and here to here. Just enjoy the show, people.
Look, Psyduck did it right. He just said, I ain't saying what I did. Here's the video. Anyway.
Yeah.
Upcoming races!
Before we get into the races, I want to talk, as we speak, a band of merry misfits are limping down the mother road itself. It's the Lemons Root Sucky Suck Rally. On my bucket list, I really want to do this one. 17 travelers headed from Chicago to California. Not one BMW in the lot.
Hell yeah!
There is one Miata, but we're going to let it go
All
because
right.
there's an ice storm in Oklahoma and they're in a Miata. So they're
sucks.
earning their keep. Now, some highlights. There is, in fact, a Tercel all-wheel drive wagon that doesn't belong to the Lemons Blockheads.
Who knew?
Who knew there was one out there? Of course, he did repost it. He's like, a Tercel all-wheel drive wagon I don't own. Is it for sale? But no. There is also a 64 VW Combi bus, a 91 Oldsmobile Silhouette that's sporting an excellent Spaceballs theme. A
That's
Mazda
a
pickup
van,
truck.
right? The Silhouette?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Cadillac of minivans.
That's right.
Bingo.
That's what I was
yes.
looking for.
There was a Mazda pickup truck that they slowly, over the last year, we watched this on Instagram, they have converted it into the electric mayhem bus from the Muppet movie. They've welded on Beetle fenders. They put they built a frame for a camper shell and then welded on or riveted on panels. It is excellent. Save the Tatas are out there in an old 68 Oldsmobile and a custom one-off 1977 wedge that is built by a former GM engineer and it is being solo driven. It's on a 63 Tempest frame. Now, if I am allowed, I'm going to share my screen.
Oh, I could do
here
that. Hold
for
on. Give me one
This
second.
is
I can do that.
amazing.
Yes, it is.
It's amazing.
Advanced sharing options. All participants can share. Go ahead, Mental.
This guy did not have a
Pretty
protractor to understand curves.
It
Or
is a
just-
fine looking machine.
Oh,
Flat-
it is.
Just
Flats
hates
are
them.
easier to make.
Just absolutely hates them. So let's see if I can get this to work.
I didn't realize he was by himself. Oh,
Well, because there's no room for anything else.
Oh, is there not? Because there's no
no,
trunk.
it's like a little two-seater. And I'm
Oh.
gonna actually get the actual screens that I go. So here is the two screenshots, and I'm gonna maximize this all the way so that the folks on YouTube can see it. And I apologize for
So-
I
It really is
love it.
just
I
called
love
a
it has a
wedge.
windshield banner that says
It's
wedge,
wedge,
on it.
because he couldn't
Yes,
figure out
that's
it's a
awesome.
wedge at this point.
I mean, it makes a TR7 look like a Lotus Elise.
Exactly.
So
This is a 63 Tempest. How large is this thing? Because in
Looks
all
like
the
the
pictures,
edges are
it looks
trim
tiny.
molding, like you'd use on a
And-
countertop, right?
My screen is
Yep.
freezing.
triple wipers. So that gives an idea of the width is triple wipers.
Yeah.
This it looks like that looks like he took a boat windshield
Yep.
and some
Extended
house
roof.
wiring, right? Yep. And
It's-
everything is just completely flat.
It's very clear from that picture that the defroster works very well also.
Yes.
Like it had like Mopar taillights, though. They look like Charger taillights in it.
Oh, that thing is awesome.
If you're not on the
Yeah.
YouTube, just find Lemons Rally online for the wedge.
Just look
and you'll
up
find it.
wedge. How
Yeah,
many are
or
there going to be?
hashtag lemons wedge. And we've also got his it's J4 427. It is
FORB 427.
but what's great is the hashtag lemons wedge. There's already it broke because he drove it from California to Chicago to start.
No way.
Yes.
He is actually crazy.
He
Hero.
is. And it broke along the way. And there's a guy that's like had his diesel Ram with the headlights aimed at it as he was swapping out suspension parts, some parking lot in the middle of nowhere when it's freezing. And, he's like, what year is it? Because he's keeping his 6 foot distance, and he turns around and goes, it's a 60 Tempest. He's like, we're going to get him back on the road. It's awesome.
It
Yeah,
is fantastic. What kind of motor is in it? Any idea? I mean, can it like break 50?
It's a Buick 215 is what I heard.
Oh, that's not bad. That'll work.
Make it even better.
Yes.
If there's anyone you'd want to keep extra social distance from, if you find them broken down to the side of the road, it's whoever's driving this thing.
That.
No way. That person is already socially distanced. You can totally trust them. They are not
They
contaminated.
have not had a friend in a very long time.
Oh,
They've had friends. They've never been to an EDM festival.
That's true. True.
They're the ones who wash their hands before they go into a public restroom and then again afterwards.
Who doesn't? Recent race results. AER and Gentleman Traveler Giant Dave was at Mid-Ohio this weekend for 2 8-hour races and a Friday HPDE. Saturday first was Random Vandals, in their boring BMW, 1 minute and 12 seconds. Back was Tyler and Trevor with SJS Motorsports. 7 laps behind them was Team Saleen in an Audi R8. Again, big guns at the old AER. Sunday, Random Vandals again, 4 laps over the Team Saleen R8. Does it have like a condiment name? Is it like...
No, it is a legit IMSA R8. Holy crap.
Like it's a full IMSA
gorgeous.
car.
It's pretty
What color is it? We can come up with a
black
condiment.
and gold.
Maybe not.
John Player special, really.
John,
Yeah.
what is that? Goldschlager? It's Goldschlager. Never mind.
Putting Goldschlager
Third,
on my hot dog.
yeah. Third in the race was the Z3 4-cylinder 4-banger. That's important because, if you're chasing down IMSA R8s in your 4-cylinder, tiny little Miata-sized Z3, and you're a grassroots kind of guy, just put your friends get together in the weekend. Damn. Okay, I'll say it again. Damn. Good job, guys. Saturday, the 88 Cougar of Drunken Squirrel Racing was 11th overall. So there are some people just like us out there who are still making it happen in AER.
Stupid? Oh.
Well, that means 31 cars were worse than an 88 Cougar.
That 88 Cougar is wicked fast.
That is a very fast car. Absolutely. So that's just the ones that finished. Another 11 didn't even make it that far because, if you break an AR, you go, I'm going home. I don't know.
put it on the trailer.
Yeah. Sunday they were 24th. So
All right.
there it is.
Champ Car had 2 different races this weekend. One at Atlanta Motorsports Park, Saturday, NLS Racing, and their 240 SX was a lap over Leviathan Motorsports MR2, who held off 3rd place in a boring BMW of 901 Motorsports by 4 seconds. That's exciting. Sunday, 901 was 2 laps over Momo Champ in a 94 Miata with Loves Racing Miata a lap back for 3rd. Crash Management Dodge Stratus, it was 24th on Saturday but made it to 12th on Sunday. And their other event, Frozen Rotor Classic at Road America, opposite side of the top and bottom of the United States, was won on Saturday, by Crowd Control Racing, just 2 minutes over Premium Dudes. A lap back was JSK Racing. And then on Sunday, I had the Good, Bad, and Ugly 78 Chevrolet Corvette 3 laps over Tuttle Motorsports. Mitsubishi Spider, and a lap over them was Two Brothers Racing Mercedes. Couldn't find the 87 Cutlass. Oh, the Cutlass, it's my jam.
That's awesome.
But our friends, Darren Greatly and the Cadillac CTS were 40th on Saturday and 20th on Sunday. Had a rough day on Saturday.
So Tuttle Motorsports, didn't they have a hardtop Eclipse before? So does this mean they got another one?
They've always had a pair of those Spiders.
Oh.
And they painted them up in Cleveland brown colors for a while. I haven't seen them.
That's not the one you're thinking of, I don't think.
Okay.
More than one Mitsubishi out there. Good luck.
This weekend, the famous Lucky Dog Halloween was at Portland International Raceway, and we were actually unable to get those results. We had all of the cars. Kathy got them to us last week, but we are going to have those results next week's, including, I am dying to know how those 3 Fieros did.
Yeah. Fieros.
Hey, guess what? One of them broke, one of them burnt, and one of them was really fast until they stepped on their wiener. Just a guess.
That's probably accurate. Yeah. So lastly, the fine folks at Grassroots Motorsport just wrapped up their annual $2,000 challenge. Which is, if you're not familiar with it, you build for $2,000 a car that will compete in a drag race, an autocross, and a concourse. I've been to this 3 times, I think, and always done. No, I was actually one time with team I was on one, so I can't say I've always done quite poorly. So anyway, this year's the $2,000 challenge champion was Rec Racing, which is all Georgia Tech students in the
Georgia Tech Rec, yeah.
528E. Second and most spectacular failure was the Little Ball of Hate Racing in a motorcycle-powered Subaru 360 van.
That'll go well.
If you've never seen one in person, it's like a van, but tiny. Yeah.
It would fit in the trunk of the
type of thing.
It would fit in the trunk of the Omega.
Tinier.
It literally, you could carry it as a spare car.
Yeah, it was a K car, like KEI, the old Japanese K car, like when they first started. So it's like that small, right? Yeah. Third overall and fastest ET of the drag strip was Dark Matter Racing and Mustang. And there's a whole bunch of other awards and like usual, GRM, lots of great coverage. Check it all out at their website.
Awesome. I don't know if you saw, but show acquaintance, fellow podcaster, and one of the funniest guys I know, JG Pasterjack, got hit in the face by the drone that was filming the event. He's all cut up. He has lots of pictures on the Instagrams of basically a face that looks like it went through a glass plate wall of spinning razor blades. I don't know.
Wow. That's a shame.
He also, there was a video of the drone dropping onto the track.
Yeah, the drone definitely hit the track at one point. They were having some trouble with their drone, I guess.
Just apparently.
Sounds like a good reason why no drones are ever allowed in any of the other series races.
That sounds like a good idea.
I think they should just start allowing them just as like an extra, you figure it out. Like when Formula One had them bolt a 2x4 to the bottom of the car, drones are allowed. They run out of batteries, your problem. I don't care.
Drops on the course, falls down.
Poor JG. Crush. He's now always going to have to hear this joke. So, hey, trouble with your drone? Like,
of course.
Listener feedback. David Bryan, who I was so excited to see this, said about our Monday night races. Thanks for hosting these. It's it's much appreciated. They are a great opportunity to get cars out of your comfort zone with a great group of racers that understand what's going on.
No, we don't.
This is great.
I think he means he understand what's going on by that we understand none of us are really competing. This is all just BS fun, and it's all okay. That's what's going on.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. This is a great time to mention that we have E1R races on Monday nights. Practice starts at 9 Eastern Standard and 10 Eastern Standard. 40-minute practice, 20-minute race. It's a good time, and we have just enough great racers and those who are plenty not good, not really looking at anybody on the screen.
You're looking at Corey, the last place.
I was not looking at Corey. I was looking at my other co-host.
I suck at iRacing.
I suck too. I've actually haven't been able to get on in a couple of weeks, so I got to get.
Yeah, we noticed.
Yeah, we noticed.
I know, sorry, I was fixing. We got back from the race.
Not fixing your wife's car. That's what you're not.
Doing floors
or fixing the floor.
All right, I have to do the floors when everybody goes to bed because they never mind.
Okay.
That's the time to run power tools.
You're right. You're You're full of excuses. Link to the Discord is in our notes. Contact us for the password if you want to join us. We'd love you to join us. We have a good time.
I will make a concerted effort to make sure I am there on next Monday.
Blah, blah.
There's also a interesting video that popped up on the YouTubes the other day. It seems that our marital, what can we say? What do we call it? Our double-ended
Double dong.
pleasure device,
Yep.
which usually gets thrown around in the pit. Corey's looking at us like, what the hell kind of show am I on here? No, he's been around the block. He's okay. So it travels a lot in the paddock over the weekend, and somebody found
It's
it
detachable.
on their go-kart, and they were unhappy with the mounting, so they improved the mounting. Link in the show notes. I don't know what else to say.
I watched it and I felt like actually it made it better.
It
but
did. It definitely improved it. I agree.
Yeah.
I want to know who put it on originally, because that guy needs to get fired. Or girl.
He may have been full of White Claw. It's
That's
not
true.
entirely the mounting person's fault.
That doesn't narrow it down.
No, it doesn't.
Does
I'm
anybody
thinking
on
of
the
like 3 people here.
There's
does
no
anybody
laws,
on this
so-
podcast want to admit that they were the ones that put the dong on the go-kart? Ah, it's mental. There it is. Okay. Well, the ghost thinks it's funny. Go ahead, Metzel. You got something.
All right. So I also posted a picture of my new cell phone holder, my little tiny race car seat cell phone holder.
Jealous.
We are all
Right?
jealous.
So are we.
Right. So I actually got a hold of the person who made it for me, and I paid for this. This wasn't like a free thing.
We'll all
And
pay
I-
for it.
And I said, do you want, me to post this on the show? And they're like, I don't have time to make a bunch of them right now. So if they change their mind, I'll post a link, but they did not want to be bombarded with requests for that. They did,
Is that
however,
like a 3D printed instrument?
Yes.
There?
That was my
So
question too. Yeah.
if you have access to a 3D printer, they were more than willing to share the file. My initial inquiry was, well, would it be easier to pay you or to share the file? And they said, well, I'm just trying to offset my own personal costs. So I PayPal'd them, but they said they'd share the file. And, we know people with 3D printers. So
Yeah,
I might be
Jim
able to get the file.
Hamsa, get on it.
Yeah,
I need
this
one.
is just
That's
it's the
pretty
dopest
sweet.
thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Build a whole car. I'll just line them all up. I got a bunch of cell phones. Just do it.
Yes, exactly. We got a nice shout out on the Apex Adjacent podcast. If you're looking for another slightly different angle on this kind of nonsense, just two friends who like cars jabbering on. It's a great show. And finally, some of our smart-ass listeners sent me a box of gluten-free Twinkies last week. So I'm quite pleased.
I didn't know
Good
that
for them.
existed.
Well, there you go.
What do they taste like?
Yeah, the same
did-
way real
So
Twinkies
you have to
taste.
keep them in the freezer, but then they say microwave them for 15 seconds, which, by the way, makes them so good.
It sounds amazing.
All right. Sounds great. Our updated IG profile had us littered with complaints. No, sorry, that's compliments. I just assumed it was complaints. That's usually what happens with us. Evil Genius Leadership called us best damn team in the business. Thanks, John. Checks in the mail. Nick MCN said, awesome photo. Keep winning out there. Fast Canoe said, OMG, best pick ever. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, one, exclamation mark. And Midwest Dad 79 recapped our intro and said, you guys are awesome. Hey, everybody. Thanks for the support.
That's Evil Genius Leadership is actually Slider. One of Jeff's accused me of friends that don't exist.
Oh,
Oh,
so it's not John Pagel. John
yeah,
Pagel.
that's just what I assumed.
No, that's Evil Genius Racing. This is a business consulting firm.
Got it. Thanks for
I'm
clarifying.
Confused. Again, we need to only deal with people who have real first names, and that's not a real first name, Slider.
What the hell do we do with mental?
Wasn't Slider the guy who sat behind Iceman? That's all I want to know.
No, he's
No.
the other guy. Anyway. Yup.
I have no idea. What did we change our Instagram picture to?
No one sat behind Iceman. Or no, that was I take that back. But yeah, it was our Facebook profile picture. It was when Eric took our last publicity photo, and it was the one where we were all being crazy.
Yeah. That one I know. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay. Keep going.
Racer Rotor Reaction special Thursday night event. Lemons was racing endurance in mid-Ohio in virtual land. Surprisingly good racing at the pointy end of the field. The early leader got taken out by a back marker and still darn near finished in first. Second was End. Huh?
Yep. You can tell
Sorry.
Jeff wrote these notes.
read
Yeah.
that note.
I forgot to go get the names off.
It
Of
doesn't
It's
matter.
okay. The post-race yeetage was excellent. That's all that matters. That it was because it was Lemons Racing, and iRacing actually just finished their season, which means they'll take a couple of weeks off and probably start in January. Special thanks to Ryan, the bearded sim racer, and Sean Yoder from Nemesis Labs, and anyone who listened to us prattle on. We made a lot of funny jokes, and one of my favorite things to come out of all of the things that have been happening in the world of iRacing was the new F in chat. So this is from the rally.
Come
That's
right.
that's
Right.
the
Back phone up.
ZZF
Nope,
sign.
Back up. There you go.
The,
Good.
what I'm saying, the famous ZZF sign,
F's in chat.
and then he put it on his truck, which is, I guess, right
In
near
a
Route
ditch.
66. So awesome. F's in chat.
I almost wrote F on the side of the Civic at New Hampshire, but I was still too sad.
Also, I want to thank Hamza because he stepped up a couple of times and was not just entertaining but educational.
Oh, he's way smarter and more funny than all of us put together. So,
It's true.
yeah. All right. And you know what's a lot of fun and not finished for the season, even though people think it should be, is the E1R Race League. Every Monday night, format's usually some play and then some fun and etc. Anyway, we're open to ideas. Give us some ideas because usually we just follow off what Lemons is doing. So like this last week, we went to Alton Raceway Park, which is in England. It's originally a 50s design, a lot of interesting history. It's very narrow with a lot of elevation change. So we started off with a mix of fascist cars like the Pro Mazda and the Radical. They were really actually quite evenly matched as they all went right by Corey in the Mustang.
Just watch them go.
Yep. It's amazing how much damage an open wheel formula car can cause to a full bodied Mustang.
I actually sent Metal a screenshot of what the Mustang looked like after the first race and I didn't play in the crash up at the end of it. And there are no tires underneath it. It's a crumpled, mangled mess of metal.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Absolutely. Next race, we on this tight little course, we had a variety of NASCARs, Aussie supercars, and the Lotus 49. And it was a crazy mess. Like first lap, half the field crashed. So that makes it even, actually.
I actually
But
made it through that mess.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. About 15 people in both races with a broad mix of talent. So yeah, Corey, you said you had fun there too. So
Absolutely.
fun had by most.
I am in love with the Lotus 49. I actually came home yesterday after work and spent about 30 minutes just trying to get around Lime Rock in that 49. I think that is a great training vehicle because you can feel what the car is doing for iRacing. I love it.
Yeah, it'll bite you if you're bad though, without a doubt.
Yes, it'll bite you just because it's great.
All right, so I have no idea who knew this because this is like premonition. This coming Monday, we're headed to Oran Park Raceway. Who wrote this?
I don't know. Keep saying it.
We talked about it. We talked about it on the race. Dave suggested
Wasn't in the race.
Uncle
Okay,
Dave
so
suggested it. It's a great idea.
we literally never picked the race until Chris is sitting there at 7 o'clock
an
Eastern,
hour before. It's
and
like,
he's like, "Where should we
we
go?"
racing tonight?
Yep, I'll set it up. Okay, it was this lovely track is in New South Wales, Australia. The track, now demolished in meat space, was a circuit like no other, with a crossover point that featured a bridge. The track's 12 turns give drivers new corners to get used to while be flailing. Come join us.
Make all the cars available right-hand drive only.
I like that.
Actually, it's not a bad idea.
It's
Well, you get
supercars, the old stuff. Yeah.
And the Unos Roadster Miata just
Yeah.
for fun.
Why not? Hey, you know who never has any trouble driving on the other side of the car? Chrissy's mom.
Okay,
Or her dad, or the whole
Yeah.
family.
the whole family.
Which way does the shift pattern go? I can't get the shift pattern right when I'm
It's the same.
In the right hand.
It doesn't
It's exactly the same in the left hand. Yeah.
When you were 12, didn't you shift the car for your dad?
I did, yes.
In the Datsun.
Right.
So
you got good
one
at it
is
then.
away from you. I understand
Yeah.
the concept. I'm saying never mind.
Takes
Even
about a
even
second to
hung
get
over in Ireland, I
Yeah.
could remember the shift pattern, but I couldn't always remember which side of the road I was supposed to be on. So we'd pull out of some bed and breakfast, and I would be deep into a hangover, and Vicky would very calmly go, "Sweetheart, I'd like to not die." Oh, that's
Give me a
sorry.
sec.
Yeah, wrong side. Yeah.
Wasn't that in European Vacation? Clark kept driving on the other side of the road, and never mind.
No, that was in Fish Called Wanda.
Oh, that's right.
the windshield wipers and the turn signals are on different sides of the stalk.
Why
too.
do you
Those are
beep?
shit
Why is the horn
Oh.
on the stalk? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, no,
Beep,
they
beep.
so
Who's
that
angry
screws
like
you up.
that?
Yeah.
I can't punch the center of the dinner. Anyway.
That's the way my MGB was.
Oh, the ghost is going again. Rain topic time with the ghosts. It's Corey Dickman. No, he loves the butt, but it's not that kind of Dickman. We're here to talk about race cars and brakes, and I'm vamping until the ghost shuts up so you can actually understand me. There we go.
The ghost isn't that
Um,
loud on the mic, I got to say.
Good.
Not too
It's
bad.
loud
You're
here.
all right. Yeah.
So, Corey, we're going to start by doing some introductions. We've already heard about all your IOEs. 8? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Is that more than you, Chris?
Yeah.
Wow, that puts you in like spank territory, doesn't it?
I'm really trying to compete with my my enabler Neil Losi out here.
Oh,
who,
and we
like,
know Neil.
Yeah, he sends me like a Craigslist ad and PayPal's me money to go buy it. That's how the Elante came about, right? Like, it's that kind of a deal. There's another car that's on the trailer the car's not really secret. We were going to race it in December, but we're going to push it back because of COVID, and we have people traveling all over the world. It's a 70s Mopar, right? The theme is really the thing. Florida Donnie's going to come out and race it with us.
Yeah, of
and
course he
Judge
will.
Bill.
He'll
We're gonna
come out and
rally
race
it too.
anything.
We're
Yeah,
totally
and we're going to
gonna
rally it probably before then. So we're going to get some use out of it and have some fun. And then I'm going to give it away after I race it. So anybody next year that wants to host a horrible, giant 70s Mopar, hit me up after June.
If it's a Imperial, call me. So let's start from there. What are the current? You've already told us about the 76 Omega. What else is currently in the fleet that's currently getting raced around?
That's the only one being raced right now. I do have a 69 Ford Cortina that I've been messing
Ooh.
with for quite a few years now. I just can't seem to, with all the Elante and Neil Losi productions and distractions, get it over the finish line. And I decided I'm going to repower it. So I sold the drivetrain. It was a Nissan KA platform. And I'm
Well,
going to
that would
go
probably-
Ecotech in it. Yeah.
That would have made
Yeah,
it cook.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're better off without
Yeah,
that.
better off
motor.
with the E-Tech, absolutely.
It's going to be horrible. I mean, my current team is made up of, Jim Bauman and Pantsless Matt and Tim Burr, which you guys, I know that Mental's met him, but the rest of you guys probably have not.
Other
Oh
than
no, we
Tim,
raced. We've met Tim.
Yeah,
Actually,
we
I
raced
met-
against him
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
We totally
before he
met
was
Tim.
friends
I'm
with,
also-
with Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also now on his team because I know what, like some people that haven't seen it, they're thinking 76 Omega, that car must be awful. No. And that's when I learned the new phrase Miata rage. Because you know what makes a Miata really mad? When you get on the inside of them and outturn them. And
And
then
outbreak them.
you outbreak them, you outturn them, and then you go, America! And just eat it, loser. That car
Nice.
is awesome. I love that car.
So
Yeah,
how's
Matt
it? Give us a
Outran
quick.
me in that car, and I was driving Matt's car.
Oh. So tell us about the season so far. Are you guys wrapped up out there on the West Coast? Do you still got one more to go?
No, we have Sonoma, which is why I was doing a transmission swap last weekend. Otherwise, it would have sat in stasis until next spring sometime. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I was going to go to Houston, but just raced a little bit more in a very compressed time frame this year than I normally do. So I really can't swing that one. And that was to go race the 41 Olds with Space Frank and those guys.
Nice. Excellent.
Nice. And how the results been out there? Did you win anything this year? What's?
I did. I raced a champ car for the first time down at Willow
Wow.
Springs in June, right after COVID was lifting and before it all fell back apart again. and we won EC class by 52 laps, to much disdain of a lot of people in the Champ Car world, because we had an LS swapped car. But the only reason we won is because everything else broke like an hour and a half before the end of the race, and we kept turning laps. Endurance racing. It wasn't because of our speed and power and prowess. It's just because we kept running.
That's part of the strategy. If you can build a car to last, you win.
Absolutely.
2-hour stints and keep running, right? That's all you can do.
2 hours?
You have to pull in it too. Champ Car has the same as Lucky Dog rules, right? You're limited to the 2-hour stint. So
Got it. When we did hour 45, you're like, really? We have to come in already?
I was like, I'm not ready yet.
Our whole rhythm was off. We're like sitting down with a big plate of food, and somebody come by in a driver's suit and be like, hey man, we got to go do a fuel change. What? It's only been, oh crap, it's only been an hour and 40 minutes.
But the longest I've ever done is 2:45, and after 2:15, I start making really sloppy mistakes. And we were driving to Crown Vic at that time, so that hurts people. So we decided that 2:15 was the max we'll ever go in that car again after that. But we were in the hunt to win, so I was trying to stay out.
We're gonna win. Gonna win. Absolutely.
Gonna win, and it.
So have you driven the Solstice? That's because I
do not fit in said Solstice.
Oh,
I am
okay.
what one might call a luxury mammal. So
I
that
understand.
is not a car for me at this point in life.
Got it. I know that it was you're joining the pantless Matt zebra stripe crew out there, so I didn't know.
But he did help modify the cage. It was awesome.
Yeah, under a very drunken Thursday night, we re-welded in the front top bar and the Mohawk bar in the car. The Mohawk
fixing
bar.
the fact that was the last piece of tube I had long enough to reach between the down bars.
It was
already
Jeff,
had a bend in it.
When I heard you say
to
that,
the
I
steel
just
place?
laughed when I listened to the show and you said that, because Matt's like, I don't understand what he was doing with this.
He's
Why
like,
would he do
love
that?
Chris's work, man. I love everything
But I don't
Chris has
get
done.
this.
What was Chris thinking, man? Chris, this isn't Chris, man.
It was
That was
great.
the only piece I had left.
We literally sat there. We're like, Jeff, when can you get to the steel place, and when can you get back? I'm like, like a week. We'll make it work.
And it goes, right?
And don't feel bad, because
Got it bad. Let's just do it.
right about here on the Solstice is some pit marks on the glass from where Matt, after like 6 claws, was grinding the old bar off. So
Sparks right from the angle grinder right into the windshield.
Sorry, I didn't
Classic.
just replace that windshield either. It's fine.
Because it was cracked when we bought it. It's okay.
Yep.
Oh.
I have to go back a little bit here because I heard LS swap, and I know the Omega is LS swap, but I
LS
want a
all
little
the
bit.
things.
I want a little bit more details because I don't know if you heard, but we're LS swapping some things here.
Yeah, so my buddy Melvin, who we just raced with at Gingerman, is
Melvin,
my LS.
not a real first name.
Actually, Melvin is
a real
not even
first
like
name.
an Air Force first name. That's like people name their
Yeah.
kids Melvin.
So
That kid
So-
gets beat up a lot.
Not this one. Not
no,
Melvin.
not this one. No. He had swapped that BMW, and I saw him, and in one of the paddock nights running around, I had just acquired a 5.3 from a buddy's truck that blew the transmission, and I parted it out and kept the engine, the wiring, and the motor, and gave him my Craigslist money for dealing with the people of Craigslist and Facebook. I got to keep the motor, so it was free.
Excellent.
He came down and helped me swap it. We took the motor out of the truck and out of the Omega in the same day and dropped the LS in the hole of the Omega. And we got that done in about a 10-hour day. And he helped me through the whole process of like where you're at right now with the LS swap. Like I was a little, off on the wiring, kind of scared of it. Once I got into it, it made sense, and you found a bunch of good resources out there. So
And
he's
again,
the one that actually pointed me down that road.
I told you guys all about this at New Hampshire, and this is not just the fastest race car I've ever driven. This thing would probably take a third of the fleet of Extreme Experience. This car was,
It's a beast.
there has never been an easy button. And it's not just that it is massively fast and powerful. It's so controlled. I love that car.
Lots of brake, lots of tire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and well set up suspension, and there's no rubber in the suspension. It's all spherical bearings, and it's awesome.
There's no cheat in there at all, it sounds like.
None, not one bit. It's a bone stock motor and
Gallons.
chassis.
gallons of Cheatonium, and that's how you would vet anybody that would walk by and be like, "What's in here?" And we go like, "Oh, it's a 318 stock engine." And they went, "Oh, okay, cool," and they walk off. Okay, I'm not.
And then it would
Good
start up, and they would turn around. What the hell is that? Yeah, it was pretty great. So yeah, so
Keep
did
telling me
that.
about it.
I've been rolling in that thing for. I had fuel pressure issues with it for about a year, and finally had to buy a fuel cell to keep the fuel pressure up. You know, the stock 1976 fuel system is not really designed for that, and the external tank pump just wouldn't hold up. And you know, Randy Popes actually drove it at Lucky Dog, and he came back after the race. He's like, I don't want to sound rude, but this just doesn't have the punch that an LS swap has. I'm like, yeah, it's because it's running at like 40 pounds of fuel pressure right now. So I tried hydromats, the whole ordeal, and just ended up with a fuel cell. And as soon as I put a fuel cell, the whole car just came to life. And then other stuff that we're going to talk about a little bit later started breaking on the car real fast.
Amazing how that happens.
Yeah,
The engine works really well now.
Yeah, fast as heck, and everything else started burning up on it instantaneously.
Got it. And that's how it currently sits. 5.3.
5.3 bone stock. It was a 120,000 mile motor, and it's probably got about 8,000 or 10,000 race miles on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. We're gonna have to talk fuel burn a little bit, but what intake manifold you got on it?
It's bone stock right out
So
of it.
the
It is
truck-
a drive-by-wire setup. It's
so-
not. It's a truck one, yeah.
The tall truck. That's what we got too. Awesome. I'm very excited.
And one of my favorite like marquee things is a flat black hood on every car that I build, and I actually cut out a shaker hood and I put the Vortec cover, and it sticks up nicely through the hood on the car. It's pretty
Excellent.
sweet. It's well done. I'm proud of it.
Our hood's probably gonna be flat black too, just because it's currently black, but
Yes. Excellent.
it's losing its shine.
Ours is going to be whatever color the wheelbarrow that we put over the intake
That's
manifold
true.
is. That's what color it's going to be.
Probably.
Nice.
Orange.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So
Great.
you mentioned that other things are breaking, which is kind of what we brought you here for. Let's talk about brakes. So we definitely, Mental said, hey, we should talk about brakes because we've had some brake problems, and we heard you're the king of brake problems. So why don't you tell us how you discovered your brake problems and get into the story?
I discovered my brake problems when I made the car fast.
That's the way it happens.
What's
Yeah.
funny?
Crazy how that happened, right?
Yeah, I tried to get ahead of it. I had already swapped to a C5, C6 Corvette front brakes, and I was still running the rear drums because usually you can just tune those out, right, and run off the front brakes. And even with the low fuel pressure, the LS down the front straight at like Thunder Hill just started destroying brake pads. We used to use Hawk HPSs, and I've up until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, that's exclusively what we ran. And we ran it in our Crown Vic that we won Class B in at Sonoma, and they would last 2 races. And
Wow, those are a solid street only pad usually.
right.
So
And we used to beat them. And in all of our cars, it's all we ran. But on the Omega, they just did not hold up. And I don't know if the compound was changed or something happened, because all of a sudden they didn't work anymore, right? We would just cook them, overheat them. So we tried a lot of pads, right? We went to the higher level Hawk, the blacks, and then we've found our way to the ST43 over time after talking to everybody, right?
Yep, absolutely. Check it off your bingo card, everybody. ST43 has now been mentioned.
Yeah. So
See, I heard that makes a great password.
yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Almost as good a password.
Yeah. So with the brake pad part in discussion is I spent a lot of time on the phone with Monty at Livermore Performance Racing. He resells pads. He used to live down in Livermore, California, and he's up in Montana now, but he keeps selling his pads. And we had some lengthy discussions about pads, and he got me the ST43s. He said ST43 or 5 is where you should be on the front, and one level down on the rear. I really found myself concentrating on the front brakes more than the rear, and that's what bit us at the last race. because the front brakes are fixed at this point in time. They're ducted, they work well. I was still running HPS pads on the rear, and we cooked them in a weekend. They are less than a credit card thick. If we would have raced another hour, we would have gone to metal.
Go ahead, Matt. So you got something?
Well, so it's interesting. You called the guy and talked to him, and Chris, I know you've had conversations with not just brake pad people, but piston people, stuff like that. So when you start running towards the pointy end of the field, we all kind of get this lone wolf, I'm smart enough to figure this out mentality. But you're an extremely intelligent person. You're not employed as an engineer, but certainly you have engineer training, and I've driven your cars. So you're an engineer type guy, and you have no qualms whatsoever about reaching out to an expert in a certain field.
Chris, I didn't know you drove trains.
I thought he was talking to Corey. He certainly wasn't talking to me.
It's we all acknowledge that Chris is the brains of our operation, and Chris will pick up the phone and talk to anybody. He'll talk to an expert at tire rack. He'll talk to an expert at the piston place. He'll talk to an expert at brake pads. And I want to get that, there are people that are new to this sport, and they're starting to get fast, and they're like, well, I figured out how to get fast. I'll figure out how to keep getting faster on my own. And they're like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I know what I'm doing.
Hell, these people have forgotten more about the subjects that they do every day than I'm going to know. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are people who are paid to stay current. And there are people who go to all of the trade shows and talk to all the engineers because it is their job. And, we don't know what the next thing that is coming out or the new thing that is going to happen. And that's why you need to talk to the people at Tire Rack or Rebestos or, Porterfields, which is some of the places that, we go. We love Porterfield because we talk to them and they look me up in the computer and they go, you still running that S10, Jeff? I say, no, but good notes in that computer, buddy.
That Cadillac Alante, they have me in there for a Cadillac Alante.
Yeah, I mean, again, their job.
Oldsmobile Bravada.
Yeah, their job is to do this every day. And you just, some guy named Fred, he's really fast and he does a blah, blah, blah. Well, that's cool and all. And I understand sometimes we are that Fred, but only because we talk to experts too. So absolutely, Corey, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're new to this type of endurance racing, and if you're running a BMW or a Miata, right? There's tons of people to talk to. There's nobody to talk to about a 76 Omega, right?
Or an
On what
Oldsmobile
works with
Bravada.
it, right? Yeah, or an Alante. But if you see somebody that has a car and they're very successful, talk to them, because everybody here wants everybody to have a good time and succeed. I mean, we all want to beat them, but at the same point in time, we'll share our knowledge with anybody that approaches us, because we've all gone through the trials and tribulations and frustrations of fighting something that is, stupid. So, it's going to take some experimentation to get it the way you want it to be. And don't be scared to talk to people and call these companies, because they want to sell you something, and they want to sell you the right stuff so you come back. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you still running the drums in the back?
No, those are long gone.
Those are long gone. Okay.
It turns out, I found out through the course of all of this, that 98 to 02 Camaro rear disc brakes will bolt onto any GMC clip rear end, 12 or 10 bolt, with the brackets and a 3/16 spacer.
I wish I would have known that before I cut my finger. Chrissy, right? Remember that? See my finger scar right there? Chrissy watched me punch the drum brake as I was pulling the cable away from the parking brake and went boom.
I did that, and the tool slipped, and I cut my left hand, and with my other hand I punched the quarter panel of the car because I was so pissed off. And it still is damaged to this day.
Did your teammate look at you in the ER and say, "Let's harden up and go home"?
Literally said this.
Most
and that's Safety Squirrel. When Safety Squirrel looks at you and says,
like,
"Harden up,"
that's awesome.
You're fine. And then his doctor friend was like, "No, you probably should have gotten
you should have got stitches in that, yo."
I was like, "Come on, you're fine. Let's put a Band-Aid on it and keep working."
Super glue and keep going, right?
Yeah. Well,
HDFU.
Yeah. I fear doctors more than I fear scars.
medication of harden.
Yeah. You didn't have to tell me twice to leave the hospital, so
Oh.
it was great. So you mentioned a few other things. I want to get back to it. You said ducting, heat. Let's talk about heat. Tell us about how you built your ducting, what you did there.
If you have a heavy car, you shouldn't even skip this point. This should be one of the builds that you do before you even race the first time. Is, and I didn't until I put the bigger brakes on the front. Even the stock Omega brakes were fine with the regular 283. It was slow, right? But I should have put brake ducting on the first to start with. It doesn't cost that much to do. I had to fabricate it with some 3-inch exhaust pipe and some brackets to get it to clear.
Ooh, exhaust pipe. You went fancy.
That's way bigger than like the dryer tube. Yeah.
Well, no. It was just to make a corner to where I could mount 2 pieces of flexible good hose to, right, to hold it so it didn't fall into the tire or do something funky with it. And buy the real stuff that actually lasts and is made to do this and hold up to the heat, because dryer duct, I don't want to run over your stuff, or I don't want it to go through my radiator, and I don't want to be the guy that drops it off my car so somebody else's day gets ruined.
So where do you get that ducting? What's it look like? Describe that, because we don't really have any of that.
It's orange.
Our cars are little.
With a steel spring running through it.
Oh, okay. So it looks like dryer ducting, but it is not. It's kind of
it's silicone, and it's made to withstand like 800 degrees or something.
Made out of rubber instead of tinfoil.
And it's a little heavier, so you can put like a hose clamp on it to mount it. And
yeah.
If we ever build a heavy car, we'll need that.
Yes.
Yeah. So cool. What else have you been fighting? Because I'm sure that's not all you've done.
I really was challenged with the master cylinder sizing.
This is magic. I don't know how you
this is black magic, and it's been a fight for me, right?
Especially when you're replacing everything on the car. Like, it's not like I have this thing, I'm going to make it work with this thing. No, it starts from scratch.
If you have Camaro calipers, you could get a Camaro and a Camaro pedal and a Camaro. You can match, but if they don't match, you're screwed.
But everybody takes on a 4th gen Camaro and they put C5 and C6 front brakes on it, right? So I'm like, well, I'm just going to go get me a Camaro master cylinder and throw it on my junk, and it should be fine, right? And it's fine as far as the pressure goes at the corners, but the pedal feel is not has not been what I wanted. And I do think that that's because the rear pads were getting hot, and that was causing us issues. Hopefully I'll fix that with the new brake pads I just ordered, which are the better ST43s. But like, it was been a real fight. I tried a few master cylinders. Like, the guy I brought the front brakes from said, buy the 1-inch S10 caliper or master cylinder and try that. And it turns out that GM uses the exact same aluminum master cylinder for everything. It just depends on the angle that the reservoir is on there, depending on how it's mounted. But internally, they're all the same pretty much for the last 15 years.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
they're 1 inch with the same stroke. Yeah.
We played that game when we had the S10, because we moved to, we would get the Camaro, we would get the S10 one, but it had the plastic tubing. So we moved to the Camaro one because it had the metal tubing. So that way we could rebend, and, it was terrible. It was all terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So is there a way
how did you get it right in the end? What did you do to say, all right, no, this is the right one that I need, and that works with these calipers, and et cetera?
So I actually had to. You can go find. There's resources online from Willwood where you can plug in all your caliper specs to spreadsheets, and people have made spreadsheets out there. You can find. I could find another one and send it in to you guys. I can't remember where I have it right now, but I did that to do the math, and the math all worked out based upon the bore and the stroke, right? And then I'm like, okay, so I'm fighting pedal feel still.
That's where I was going to get to. How do you translate that all the way to your foot?
So the next thing I bought was a caliper pressure gauge to make sure I didn't have something failing in my all new brake system, right? And they are literally, it's a whole bunch of adapters that go right into the bleeder valve, and a pressure gauge that you screw onto it. And you push on it, and it tells you how much pressure is in the caliper, so you can check that you have enough pressure at each corner of the car.
Intriguing.
This sounds interesting to me. Yes, tell me more.
It was $100, and I used it, and then at least I knew I had the right pressure at the at the calipers. So then I needed to look into figuring out how to translate to the foot, right? Which is what everybody wants, a good pedal feel.
Well, that can also help you figure out imbalance issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were struggling with those for a while. Like that would have been a nice thing to do. Is like you can put it on, test them, see like does it retract all the way? Does things like that? Is it coming up evenly with the same pressure on your foot?
And a lot of people have a proportioning valve, but they don't know what it's doing. That it feels wrong. Give it a half a twist. And they're guessing without actually knowing what is happening in the braking system. So.
It's compelling because every other system they'll have a gauge for that, and they'll know exactly how much fuel is coming in. They'll know exactly what their compression rate is. They'll know exactly what their spring rate is. But braking, they're like this much.
Two turns.
Yeah.
Well, and then when you find some of those tools out there too, I think I linked one in the show notes to you guys. Yeah, farther on down about pedal ratio and how it feels like. I don't know what 500 pounds feels like on my foot, right? Like I don't know how that really translates to my 125 pounds of pressure I'm putting by pushing with my foot. It's it's a lot of experimentation, and it's getting there. I'm almost there, I think. I think at next race it'll be there as far as good. But yeah, so
we say that all the time. We'll get there next race. Next race, it'll be ready.
It's inched just a hair further better every single race. So I am very happy. I'm optimistic that I will get to exactly where I want. My one of the other guys that I race with, Paul, has an 82 Camaro with the best brakes on any Lemons car I've ever driven.
Dang old Camaros.
It's the same stuff I have. And you can, coming out of the S's at Sonoma and down into the bus stop there, you can outbrake every single car on that track with the best pedal feel and braking you've ever had. And my brakes should work like that. And they don't, which is frustrating. It drives me nuts, right?
Yep, get it.
Yeah.
So we did master cylinder sizing, we did pedal ratio, which is something I never would have thought about.
No, but I did just put that link in our show notes. We're going to make sure that goes up. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Because I definitely, we sold our S10 to the competing podcast. I don't have the hat with me, to the Garage Heroes guys. And I went back after a couple of races of being in our cars. And it was the very first thing I noticed was the brake pedal just doesn't feel right. And, they were dealing with some overheating issues. They were dealing with a couple of different issues, but it's amazing how much that'll shake your confidence in a vehicle if the brakes don't feel right. Even if it's braking well, feel is so important.
If they're mushy and you're flat spotting tires, it doesn't help anybody, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
worst combination.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the ability, especially if you can just kind of put, the ball of your right foot on that brake and exactly just put it where you want to. It is almost an immeasurable amount of confidence in the car. And then your ability to start doing, I don't want to say stupid stuff, but aggressive things in corners because you can set it the way you want it.
I have no doubt that it would add seconds to our laps.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Measurable seconds real quick, honestly.
I know for a fact the reason that people are faster than me on this side of the podcast over here are because they brake better than me. When I ride on the other seat with Chris, I'm like, oh, he's braking so much later and so much harder. And when we look at our graphs, a lot of times that's what I'm not doing.
Mm-hmm. Or even on the Chris and I on the way to New Hampshire, we listened to the Ross Bentley podcast. And even if you're braking sooner, but you're braking smarter.
Right.
Yeah, it's about your ramp angle and how you're holding it. And so much about brakes is the release, how you're releasing and when you're releasing. But that's a topic for a different day. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is
wait. Are you telling me
we're only halfway done, and this is so enlightening? I'm loving this.
I think Chris is saying that it's not just the machine, but it's also the driver of the machine that makes the car go faster. It's
or just go back to the Hamza episode of the meat bag and the machine and think about the interaction. That's
absolutely
exactly what we're talking about. Yeah.
All right. So what else are you attacking if you're still having trouble getting this feeling right?
So, one of the things that broke at Buttonwillow, which we've never had a problem with, was the master cylinder. We actually lost it about 45 minutes toward the end of Saturday, and we were in contention, and Mental heroed it up and made it to the end of the race on a car with absolutely no brakes. I didn't realize they were that bad when he was out there. There was nothing. Like, he came in and he was screaming for us to get out of the way because he couldn't stop in the pits. So
we were top 10, and I was not coming in early.
not giving it up. Yeah.
No.
I radioed in and said, hey man, if you know how to drive, if you're uncomfortable with it, then, bring it in. And he stayed out. So I figured, well, there's something there, but there was nothing.
Yeah. We had a Rolls Royce once where you could brake twice every lap.
Nice.
Or else you
Cruising
overheated
around.
the brakes.
They did also buy an entire Walgreens out of castor oil to make those brakes work.
It's true. It's true.
So bleeding. The next morning, we got a master cylinder from another team that had to go up to San Jose from Buttonwillow to grab a clutch, and we actually lucked out to find out that they were going, and they picked us up a master cylinder and brought it back about 1:30 in the morning.
That's what you got.
I'm going to be. This is after Corey spent about 2 hours on the phone in ever increasing concentric circles around Buttonwillow, California, trying to find an O'Reilly's that had this brake cylinder. And he was like, oh my God, dude, does no one here drive an American car? Why can't I find this master
There was
cylinder?
none in the pick and pulls. There was no fourth gens in the pick and pulls. There was no master cylinders from Buttonwillow, which is in Bakersfield, California. The south side of LA, Riverside, had one. Sacramento and the Bay Area. All 4-hour drives.
I was
Any
going to say,
which
my
way you cut it.
California geography is not good. 4 hours was the answer I needed.
Yeah, it's 4 hours one way to any of the places we could have got it. And we found a friend that was actually driving right by the O'Reilly that had one in San Jose, and he picked it up and brought it back to me. So this brings me to bleeding. We did not do a good job of bleeding those brakes at 2 o'clock in the morning after some cocktails.
There might have been some tequila involved. I claim
Never happened to our team
responsibility.
ever.
Ever. And so we got them, and they stopped, and they worked good enough, and we dropped it off the jack stands and said, it's ready to be sent tomorrow. Done, right? And I did not drive the next day because the team that actually helped me, I helped them put their transmission and their clutch back in their car all night long and drank more with them. So I got it home and got it off the trailer, and I pushed the brakes. I'm like, they don't even work. Like, how did these guys drive for 6.5 hours? These brakes are shot. And, for somebody that works on their car a lot alone, I bought a power bleeder.
I love my power bleeder.
And it was the best $60 I have spent ever in my life.
I don't know if
bled the brakes in 20 minutes.
I don't know if I ever actually said this on the podcast, and I don't know if I ever told my brother this, but I once bought him a new power bleeder because I broke his, like the rubber just deteriorated. So I bought him one for his birthday, and my wife was like, "What is that thing?" And I said, "Well, it makes you be able to bleed your brakes alone." She's like, so I don't have to go out and push the pedal? You're keeping it. And it never got to my brother. It lives in my garage.
My favorite new tool
it's like
right
in
here.
your bedroom? That's cute.
No, this is my office/storage room.
Okay.
What you can't see is I've heard you make fun of Jeff in his office. If I turn my camera over this way, it's piled with car parts.
Do it.
I don't have a garage.
Do it. Do it.
Right.
It's for the tubers. Come on,
But
Corey.
he does have a garage. You're a liar.
I don't have a garage.
No, not you.
Yep.
No.
Jeff has a
does.
garage.
I have a storage unit.
So in here, these are the seat covers out of my car stacked up. There's some hubcaps and some leftover spray paint. Yeah, it's quite cozy in here.
Right.
Caps are off to Plymouth, aren't they?
Well, and I like
Yes, they are.
the
I'm
steering
grabbing
wheels
one
that
from
are
my
behind
office
you.
when I come back. Yeah.
Is that
Oh,
like
the steering wheels are
security?
dope.
Like you're
Yeah.
like you can't steal my cars because I have the steering wheels in the house?
Well, I take everything out that could get rained on or cat modified, like the seat covers and the harnesses and all that stuff, right? So that during the winter time, because it won't rain here until like the middle of next month, but it won't stop until March next year, right? So they all sit outside. So I bring them in so that they don't get destroyed. Like the seat covers, especially. The last thing I want is a moldy, mildewy seat cover to have to put people in.
Yeah, we
I would
have
also
rain
offer that-
all year long out here, so we have to keep our windows together.
I have wood inserts that I made that have clips that hold it up.
Yep, that's what we do.
Here's another tip for the brake bleeder. Instead of getting a power bleeder, get a spare master cylinder lid at the junkyard, and I drilled a hole and tap it for NPT and just put an airline fitting from my, so I could put my compressor air hose right on that, turn it up to 20 PSI. There you go.
Yeah, works great.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so bleeding.
Boosters. We talk about boosters yet?
Yeah.
Not the thing the short kids sit on like Tom Lamino, but what else can we find?
Ouch. I'm gonna adjust my booster.
And I will have to say that the power brake booster is black magic as an automatic transmission is to me inside. I don't understand it. I've read a little bit about it. The Omega, because it's a 70s GM fine luxury mobile, has a power brake booster that's the size,
like a manhole cover. Yeah,
it's huge, right? And the newer Camaros have one that's only like 7 inches or 8 inches. So I've been trying to figure out how to swap one of those over if that's going to help me get towards my brake peel. But don't count them out if you're having problems with the rest of your brake system as well, right? You just have to, because inside it could do math as to pressure and mess with your brake pedal ratio. There's a lot of things in there that happen that will change the way it feels.
And you can't just take it out either. Some people say, just unplug it. Well,
no,
your firewall might not be reinforced enough for that. And the amount of extra actual foot pressure that you're applying without having the booster might actually flex your firewall and move things around and cause you other problems, in addition to having the feel go away. So don't just take it out. And
the pedal ratio is wrong because I actually have a manual brake pedal from an Omega as well, and the place where the rod sticks up is an inch higher on the pedal than it is for the power brake one.
And then the pin is probably at a different place
now
to give you more
changed.
mechanical advantage.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
I don't remember what car it was in, but I'm going to guess it was a TR7 that we definitely drilled a new hole in a different spot on the brake pedal arm just to put this through, just to solve this problem. Because that's the kind of thing you do on the TR7.
Yep.
So
here's one of the very first time I ever got my life saved by my grandfather, who taught me how to wrench. I was saying the brakes are just terrible. They don't work. And he got a can of ether and he shot it at the brake booster, and the RPMs changed.
Oh,
and he said, "You got a hole in your brake booster." And I was like, "What do you mean? The can looks fine." No, that is the vacuum pressure for the motor is inside that canister. And if there is a hole in that bladder, you're not building the pressure that you want. And he tested it by shooting it full of ether. And man, if the RPMs didn't come up, and he said, "Yep, that's sucking in air."
The LS will throw a light too if it's got a huge vacuum leak like that, so that helps.
It's a
Older cars
73
didn't quite
International Scout. It did not have a check engine light.
No
on
light.
it.
Yeah.
No. All right. So lines. You didn't really talk about lines, but you mentioned that you had changed everything over to the Dangle Camaro. Do you have different lines that you use? Did you replumb everything, or the same size lines?
None of the flex lines are stock from what would fit on there, obviously, right? With the Corvette front calipers, the guy I bought the Core 3 up in Oregon, awesome guy, Tobin, he does a lot of IMSA support, brake cutovers. He manufactures the lines, and they're just standard 3/8 24 on one side, then the metric, in any length you want to put on. The rears, I just bought a kit for a 4th gen Camaro, and I took my line flare and changed them to bubble flare with a metric thread on them, and then just move the brackets on the rear end for them. So the rest of the stuff is the same. And then I ordered a stock tee from the Omega, or anything back in the day that was braided.
Got it. So everything's braided at this point.
Everything's braided, and if I break one of the braided lines in the back, I can go to any AutoZone and buy one, a rubber one.
Got it. Metsu,
that's always nice.
Well, for people that might be entry level listening to this podcast, the problem with any rubber line, and they're on every stock car, is that given enough heat, they're going to expand. So you're pushing your brake pedal, it's pushing fluid down into those calipers. And when it meets resistance, it goes to the path of least resistance, which is a swelling brake line. Step one on any car you put onto a track, I don't care if it's track days, Lemons Racing, whatever. If you are going onto a race course, for God's sakes, spend the $100 or less and get stainless steel line or the braided lines.
If you can. If
they're available for your vehicle, yes.
Do you know how many miles you've driven in winning race cars that don't have stainless
I was
braided
gonna
brake
say
lines?
we don't got no stainless brake lines.
I got the ones on clearance from Rock Auto.
Wow.
I just look at it as especially like these 70s cars where they're rotten and falling apart. They're not that more than the rubber ones, right? So I might as well do it while I'm in there.
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely ran the stock rubber on just about everything, right? I mean, the S10s always had them. The
Civic still does.
Still does got them, yeah. If you can get braided steel brake lines, go
we can't. We could, but the rubber ones were like $8 each for the Civic, brand new. I was like, all right, sweet, put those on. Sounds great. Versus like 120. Like, yeah, that's good enough.
Ghost thinks it's good.
We are topping out 6th gear to JMP in that car. I did not know this. Oh God, Chris. Oh,
ain't nobody got time for that stainless steel crap
now. Oh God.
We have never ever had a problem with brakes failing.
Our Crown Vic was all rubber lines. I mean, this is the first time I've gone to it. I'm just saying, if you have to replace it on some junker you drag out of a field,
oh, absolutely,
more money, right?
No. I just wanted to hassle Mental because he's going preaching that you must do this.
Hassle achieved. I'm not
what he doesn't know doesn't hurt him, right?
I can't sleep tonight now.
How many times have you changed the wheels on that car and looked at the wheels and looked at the suspension?
I've literally moved
them
out of the way.
You looked at the wheels and looked at the suspension. You remember I'm the guy that mounted corded tires, right?
That's true. This is true.
You were drunk and it was dark. But
So not only that, but that's like, the old Civic still had the drum brakes on it for a very long time.
That I was totally fine with because that car was we weren't topping out 6th gear at NJMP in the old Civic. Now, some idiot looped it under the bridge at Summit Point, but that's probably because it had drums on the rear. But
Yep.
The rear of the Civic wheels don't do anything but hold the butt up, right, Chris?
Pretty much. Yeah.
So awesome. Are we getting to the bottom of your list? What else is there to talk about?
Seriously, Corey, this has been great. Corey put all these notes in last night and then sent me a text to apologize for putting all these notes in. But this is awesome stuff.
You saved us a ton of work. It was good.
Hell yeah.
I had a long conference call yesterday afternoon. I had things to think about, right?
I was hoping he was going to say the last bit because, we're just talking about our rubber brake lines, but, our how much are they, Chris? $9?
They were on wholesaler closeout on Rock Auto. It was great.
But they also have the braided ones always on wholesale and closeout at Rock Auto for like $12 instead of $7.
That's $6 whole worth of White Claws you're wasting.
Chrissy, he sold you out for a White Claw, one White Claw. That was it.
Hey, we have never had a brake failure problem. Actually, you know what? We did once, and it was on a braided line that we used to have on the car, and that rubbed on a wheel, and that failed. And then I said, well, I'd rather just replace them more often.
Yeah.
I feel like we this is a off topic. We replaced the coolant lines because we did have a failure with that with better braided lines.
Yeah, the oil cooler lines. Yeah.
Oh,
oil cooler.
Yeah, so there's some plates that you should upgrade.
AN6 fittings are the devil as far as I'm concerned. They work great and I love them, but having to make them sucks. And
he was in the Army, so
I just got good at them over time. Like I curse them, and I still get bits of metal in my finger when I do it. But
the nylon covered ones are the devil.
I haven't
with the fabric outer sheath.
I've seen them, but I have never built them.
Trying to get the thing, the nut onto it, over the top of that without it wadding up is no fun. Anyway.
And Corey says that having been a high-end Army comm expert. So he knows
built
this
a lot of those and a lot of cables.
So yeah, anything else you want to wrap up with?
I just, like we talk about safety gear all the time. Don't buy questionable junk, right? Don't buy eBay master cylinders for $2 a piece when, an OEM one costs $130 or a decent Rock Auto rebuild's $100, right? If it looks wrong, don't skimp on it, because you're going to hurt your friends and competitors, and that'd be the worst case scenario that you would have to live with for saving some money. I mean, you wouldn't buy a cheap helmet or a cheap fire suit once you've done this once, right?
Yeah.
We all
Yeah,
bought the
pretty
cheap
much.
stuff to start with. Don't get
Your
wrong.
second
but yeah,
suit is always beautiful.
very nice. Yeah.
After you put the G-force quilt away.
Or you look at the one teammate that's still wearing them and you're like, oh, that's really sad.
The Pyrotect one with the underwear that's like wearing a burlap sap in the 104 degree California sun.
That's great. You didn't
It's a
sweat that
mental
at
hat
all.
until this year.
That was before we knew cool shirts existed.
Yeah.
Oh.
What a sad day. And then you can do an
Yeah, it was
hour and you
sad
get
day.
out and you're like, I'm going to die.
Yes.
The first time when you guys put the first cool shirt in, even though we were doing the homemade cool shirts, the first time we turned one of those on, it was like this whole new dimension. And I have turned down seats. I'm like, oh, hey, what kind of cool shirt are you guys running? They're like, oh, we don't. I'm busy.
I'm good.
Yeah, no.
Busy, really?
I think that's a lie. I'm calling him on that one.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's
Seat
BS.
time trollop. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
like you get down in Florida and New Orleans. No, I'm not getting in your car if you don't have a cool shirt.
Wow.
No.
Well, awesome. This has been great. I think I'm going to sum it up and say, don't buy cheap stuff. Consult the professionals. Brake feel matters, and the brakes will actually make you faster.
Well
How's that sound for a sum up?
I like it.
Yeah.
Now we just need to
Cool.
do it. I mean, something.
Yeah. Well,
We did most of it.
we did all that, most of it. Yeah.
Corey, I know you are not a social media fan, but you've got do you have anything? The Ranwin Parked page?
Yeah, I occasionally post to my Ranwin Parked Racing Facebook group if you would like to see any of the projects that I have. Usually a picture of us at the beginning of the race all happy, and then one at the end of the weekend beat down and trying to get the hell out of her. Or, a
Beginning of the
motor
race,
on the
like-
ground. Yes. Yeah. Occasionally.
This is only good
of
for
us
people
winning.
watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
Saying.
Every race I've done with you, the end of the race is, holy crap, we went that fast. This is awesome. We had a great time. So I've always enjoyed it. And if you guys have specific questions for Corey, who he's even smarter than he's letting on right now, get a hold of us. And if you're not a complete nutcase stalker, or you're a complete nutcase stalker and you're built like Angelina Jolie, we'll put you in touch with Corey.
All right.
Oh,
Great.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And with that, we're going to move on to the next set of the show. Corey, stick around for this because this is where it gets good.
All right.
Is it?
Yeah.
Great.
Who's doing this? Because they didn't change the color.
Oh, me.
Oh. Just the tip with Chrissy.
I wrote it, so I figured I need to change the color.
Oh, I just want to make sure. Sometimes
It's
other
true,
people
fine.
do the
Sometimes the other people,
Well,
somebody else can do it if you'd
when
like.
we write it for her, we change the color, and she goes, I didn't write this.
Right, that's true. Early next Sunday morning, people are going to be, all over the United States are going to be saying, turn their clocks back for an extra hour of sleep for daylight savings time. Most of us are going to be thinking, fantastic, I get another hour of sleep. And you will do that. That's great. But most of the time, there's a huge difference between this society clock and your biological clock. Yes.
We should explain for our one international listener, because this is a crazy American thing.
Well, and also Johan, who lives in Arizona where they don't do this.
Oh,
They know
but
about
he
it.
knows
though.
about it.
And for those of us in California that voted to end this last year, I don't
Yes.
know why it's not
What
being
a
implemented.
Good job. You should. This is the stupidest thing America does.
Yeah.
We change our clocks twice a year. How dumb.
But we have to play along because you can't just say it's
No.
my right to choose my own time and then you'll be late for everything.
You can't be that jerk off. Where you
can't.
been, Jeff? What? I don't do daylight savings time.
I don't believe in
What are you,
daylight
some kind of
savings.
simp?
It's a conspiracy.
Changing your
Take me
clock
from my
because the
freedoms.
government tells you to?
It's a
When
big
I
deep-
lived in
deep
Indiana
fake.
and had to work in Chicago, Indiana
Right?
at the time did not change it. And
Uh,
so Chicago was 1 or 2 hours difference. You never knew which one it was.
That's crazy.
And, you drive across the border and your cell phone would change. You're like, oops, going to be late for this one.
That's
Okay.
pretty funny.
this would be a good deep fake, Mental.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay.
Go on,
Let's
Chrissy.
go on. Okay. This is a safety tip here. Okay. If you, assuming that you're going to comply with this issue, watch for pedestrians that are outside walking. They're walking at dusk, nearly 3 times more likely to be struck and killed by cars the days following the end of daylight saving time and just before the time change. So watch out for people walking. You have an extra hour of sleep, which is great, but it really is going to mess with your body. You're probably going to be fatigued. It's going to take you some time to adjust, but it's all psychological. So just deal with it. And apparently this all leads to accidents, work and at home. Just so watch out what you're doing. So here's some other things you can do to check for now. Check your batteries and your smoke detectors, your batteries in your smoke detectors and your CO detectors. Time to put your emergency kit back into your car. Here's an FYI, because that's going to
The
get
winter
cold.
emergency kit.
The winter emergency kit. There's plenty of places that are already stupid cold, so get that out and make sure that you have all your good stuff in there. Yes, and then check your fire extinguishers. And I was reading about this, and then I was like, oh, we should check your fire extinguishers. But then I started thinking, does your family actually know where they are? First of all,
Ooh,
and then also
second, just
in the
the
garage.
tip.
kind of, but you're supposed to have one in the kitchen, and make sure that everybody knows where it is. Is it charged? That's the first thing. Do they know where it is? And then do they know how to use one? Now's the good time to double check and make sure that everybody knows what they're doing in case of a fire.
Hey, Corey, do you know why a proctologist exam is very similar to daylight savings time?
No.
Well, first you spring forward, then you fall back.
Oh.
And I'm gonna groan because that's a PG-13 dad joke, but I'm totally gonna be using that next Monday.
I think Donnie likes that one. I think he'll be saying that one. Just do we have any idea what's happening for next show?
No.
No. We'll figure it out. But we do know what's happening next Monday when we race. So check it out. If you need the password, it is the kind of breaks we talked about earlier. Thank you for downloading us, and thank you, Corey, for joining us and talking
Corey.
all
This was-
about breaks. Yeah, this is
Thank
kind
you.
of cool.
This was great.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have to have you on later for our LS swap episode once we get ours together.
Totally.
That's
we
going to
may
be like
have
a
to
4-hour
fly you-
conversation. I'm going to tell you. I geek out on that.
Okay,
We
we'll
may
we'll
have to-
double episode.
We may
double
have to
episode.
fly you to Pennsylvania for our LS swap episode.
It only gets better when we drink. Thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer. Even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It is totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. If you're on the YouTubes, keep pointing, Chrissy, because you're pointing right at it. You're in the right spot.
The doodly do.
Down there in the doodly do. Everybody point down. Down there in the doodly do. Give us some feedback. And then up there, Chrissy, point again because you're in that spot. Up there, hit the subscribe button in just a few moments. Even if you hate us, put it in the doodly do and tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. Or, I don't know why, text us. And please, those of you who tried to send those pictures, I ain't downloading them at work. We're stealing this bit from Apex Adjacent, so thanks for the shout out earlier. Find us on Instagram or the Twitters at Everyone Racers. Corey, do you follow our Instagram? No.
I don't do Instagram.
That's what I heard.
That's right.
Insta what?
It's the what?
It's a hot one.
Mhm.
Yeah, there we go. I had to restart
That's what
the music.
happens when you cancel SEMA. Chrissy forgets what Instagram is.
No, it's not canceled. We're going virtually.
We're going.
Thanks again, and until next week, keep the brake pedal pressure on unless your pressure's all screwed up, then just make sure you make that turn. I tried to make it fit. How'd that go?
I liked it.
And this-
It's worth
felt it.
okay. Thanks anyway.
Good.
I'll give you a solid
I make
It's
these
not
up on
quite a
the
meh.
I make them up on the fly, everyone. Thanks
No
for
way.
listening.
I had no idea.
Good night.